What communicates with inside of you?
That's a great question. And I love that you said what communicates inside of me, because communication is happening all the time. It's the bridge, it's the connection point between my mind and my body, my mind and my emotions, my spirit or soul in my body, my spirit and my emotion. It is the understanding between parts. And it really is the aspect that makes it not just parts. It is the flow of information that allows us to be a part of something much bigger. And communication, I'm fascinated by etymology, but sitting with that word and what are all the words that come from that word, and the root of it is to commune. It is to connect. And to be in communion is to be in connection with, I know it comes from a religious, that word often has a religious connotation, but to be in communion, from my perspective, is to be in connection with everything and everyone around me, and also inside of me, and also into the future, and also into the past. And so it really is this connection. And being in the healing arts space or in health and wellness, looking at this word to heal really actually just means to connect, to reconnect all of the parts of myself that I haven't been communicating with, to be able to communicate that outwardly to other people, the things I have not been able to communicate, to feel more understood, to feel like we have connection in between us. It really is the skill set that allows for deeper connection. And we look at communication, most of us think it's just the language that we're speaking and the words that we're using, but it's much deeper than that, because I believe that everything that you are being from your nervous system is being communicated outwards. And communication is always a two-way street. Whatever you are being is being communicated all the time, whether you're saying anything or not. And also, there is a communication that's coming back. And are you able to listen to all of the beautiful synchronicities and signs and messages from your life? Can you hear all of it? Can you hear whether you're in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing? Can you hear the subtle nuances of the heartbeat of your partner when they say something that they're afraid to say? Can you hear all the little subtleties of what's going on in life? And, to commune, to be in communication with each other really allows us to be in community. Yeah. And I think community is one of the most essential nutrients as we've gone down this path of somatic breath work. I pull the lens back and really take a look at what's really going on. Not what we're doing, but what's really going on in this. And it is, we're teaching, and not necessarily just teaching, but helping people remember these lost skills of deep communication, of deep communion with myself and inside of my body. And then I can actually do it with other people. And each one of us deeply, deeply desires to be in community, in connection with each other. There's not one person out there that doesn't want to be understood on a deep level by the people that they're around.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by how much of communication is non-verbal.
Yeah.
And how much we really focus on just the verbal aspect of it, just what's being said. Yet when there's 90% of it or some stat is closer to most communication is nonverbal. And then even the thought process that, what about self-communication? Not just what you're saying to others, but what do you say to yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How do you talk to the little version of yourself? That inner critic. I'm so fascinated by the quality of the conversation you have with your body and with yourself. And so it leads me to my next question is, what makes somatic communication different from these traditional communication skills or techniques that we've seen out there?
Yeah. It's been such a fascinating journey, and both of us, our backgrounds, most of you probably know, are in the realms of body work and manual therapy and really working with the physical body. And I didn't really realize this until a couple years in, but what I'm doing when I'm working with someone is having a physical conversation. I'm communicating with my hands. With another person's body, and there's so much depth that is going on within that conversation. I'm doing negotiation. There's a lot of negotiation going on.
100%.
There's a lot of care going on. There's a lot of maybe invitations that are going on. There's a lot of safety that's trying to be created through that communication. And I realized that this is a language that a lot of us haven't been taught, but we are all designed to communicate through not just our words, but through hands-on touch, through emotion. I mean, we all know when someone says something to you and you can tell that they don't actually mean that, or there's no substance, there's no gravitas behind the thing that's being said. And really, words, which are an incredible tool, these languages, we don't always all speak English or Spanish or whatever the actual language that we're speaking is, but we all speak the language of the nervous system. And what I believe that is not just the language of our physical body, but it's how much feeling is packaged up beyond those words. Because I could say just a sentence that's like, "You've been the most impactful human in my life. And I love you so much." And there's
I need a timeout.
right, and there's and that, like, there's space, there's nuance, there's feeling, there's heart, it's not coming from just my mind and something that I read in a book, and there's words there. There's deep reverence, there's deep resonance in my body, and I could feel where those words are coming from, a lot of it from my heart. Some of it from my solar plexus here, and I really believe that a lot of us, we've been sold the idea, maybe not sold, but we've been taught that communication is the key to relationships, but it's deeper than that. It's connection and it's understanding. Because I could sit here and we could speak back and forth, but it doesn't mean that we actually understand each other or we feel each other. It doesn't mean that there's a deep resonance that's going on with the electrical bubble around me and the electrical bubble around you, and we're sort of, to be esoteric, like vibrating on the same frequency. Or even if it's a hard truth that you're saying to me, I can hear what he's saying, but can I let it in?
Yeah.
And there's a feeling of, can I host it in my body? And when someone can host something in your body, because you'll feel seen and heard. You'll feel felt by them. You'll feel understood. It deepens connection. And what makes this practice different than a lot of the communication that we're doing from day to day is it's body-based. It's a body-based path to vulnerability. It's a body-based, and not just body, but somatic means our body, our emotions. It really means our whole being, because when the word somatic was created in ancient Greece, it was not a separation between body, mind, emotions, spirit. It's really your living wholeness.
Yeah.
And so this journey through the communication course is a journey of communicating and bringing back online all of the parts of myself and learning the communication, because your body is always speaking to you. Your emotions, there's always an emotion going on. in every moment. We don't realize that. There's always something that's being said from the body based on our external circumstances and, the state of my body. And there's always there's always some sort of story that's playing in the back of the mind as well. And most of us, we don't have the resource and the ability to know what's actually being communicated inside of me and how do I put it into words. And then on the flip side, a lot of us have a hard time deeply listening and being able to host another person. And so I pull back a little bit, and what's really going on and what makes this special is we're, to get really like just meta, the visual that I get is we're building the internet, the internet inside of us, of integrating and remembering and weaving the web of ourself back together and learning the language of our body and our emotions and our mind and the stories that are running on repeat, and learning how to open ourselves up to receive communication from something that's greater than ourselves, whether that's, God, if you believe in God, or source or spirit. And we're building that inner network inside of us. They say your network is your net worth, but that's not external. That's your inner network too. Mm-hmm. And so then we can build the interdependent network between ourselves and each other. And separation is in my opinion at the core of most of our dis-ease in our society. It's isolation, it's separation, it's in the beautiful words of Gabor Mate, if trauma is a disconnect inside of me from parts of myself where a situation was too much or too fast or too much for me to handle, then all healing is a reconnection. And so I look at what is the way that we help this reconnection both internally and externally, and it's through the skill of fully embodied somatic communication.
Yeah, I'm glad you took some time to speak on that. I needed some time to collect myself. Just your words just really landed inside of me, and I just love the concept that communication isn't just a one-way street. It's your ability to also receive what's being said to you as well. Most don't even take the time to feel. Just a casual "how are you doing?" just goes over top of our head, through us. Even if someone is really asking that question, we're so conditioned to just say, "I'm good," and you keep going. And so to stop and receive what's being said to you is also communication, not just what's just being said. And so that brought up emotion in me, and it landed, and I just really let it open up. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, man. And you are someone that has done this and does this more than, not more, but is profoundly skilled in this. And it's been an honor to watch you as just an example of, I call him the mayor. And that's because I'm not lying to you. Here in Austin, I have watched this man. We've only been here for 2 years, and he knows hundreds of people. And probably I watch him have a 1 to 2 minute conversation with each person. Yeah. And everyone's like, Fish, how are you doing? They love this man. And I'm like, what are you doing to elicit this deep desire, and not just desire, but this deep feeling of me, of allowing people to feel seen and heard within minutes. And I wonder what our world would be like if we all had that sort of skill set. Yeah. And it's fascinating to watch. It really is, because I still have a lot to learn. And it's just so cool to watch you as a living example.
I appreciate you. Thank you. I think it's it's almost, I think, stems from the ability to stay where I was when I was younger versus growing up. And I think we'll speak on staying in a state of awe and staying in a state of curiosity and wonder about the person in front of you. But like, I genuinely am really interested, like concerned in a good way, of how their well-being is. And they can feel that. I feel it. And so, kids are amazing at this. A kid could run up to a group of individuals, and regardless of the conversation, if he's asking a question that has wonder and curiosity and awe behind it, they'll stop what they're saying and they'll tune into that child and they'll join him in that curiosity. And kids just ask such curious questions. And I think as adults, we start to harden and think we know the answers, and we have these incredible tools like the internet that give us a lot of these facts, and it does eliminate the mystery of life, and I like to stay in mystery.
Yeah,
so,
you do.
Yeah.
And just to speak on that before we kind of transition and get into some other things, I don't know if anybody listening to this has had this experience, and I guarantee you have, because I've talked to so many people that have, but I remember as a child feeling things so deeply and not being able to put them into words and not being able to package it up and give it to another person in a way like, this is what's going on inside of me. Like, can you understand that? And it's an incredibly painful feeling to not be able to be in connection with other people. And it's fascinating because I think about my grandma. She has a kind of a rare form of dementia, and I think it's called aphasia, or it's a neural disorder. And I watched her through the past, 5-10 years. It slowly started to onset, and the thing that she's not able to do is she's not able to communicate out loud. She's not able to speak. She knows I'm there with her. She knows who I am. She can listen to me, and she tries to say something, but it doesn't fire. And I can just, with being with her, I can feel the amount of misunderstanding that's going on. I can only imagine the feeling of not being able, because of being a child and feeling this, and maybe you have too, but could you imagine being in the world and not being able to put how you are feeling in your internal state into words? Well, you wouldn't be able to connect with your wife or children. You wouldn't be able to connect with your business partner. You wouldn't be able to connect at all. And so this, I don't even want to call it a course, because it's more of a technology and it's not anything new. It's all the things that we already know how to do. But it's the ability to first to listen to the internal communication that's going on, to package it up into words, to paint the picture of my internal experience for another person to feel more seen and heard, and for them to go ahead and receive me and all of me, and so that we can deepen our connection, and then for it to bounce back and forth. And when that happens, we know that trust is the thing that is the foundation for all relationships. If you've broken trust in a romantic relationship, it's really hard to get that back. And how does trust happen? How does this, it's like the steel wiring, the platform, the concrete foundation between the relational dynamic that we have with ourselves and another person. How do we cultivate that? Well, trust happens through vulnerability. And so what is vulnerability? Vulnerability is that, can I feel what's going on inside of me, and can I make the internal external? Can I show you all of the parts of myself? Can I put that into words? Can I package my emotions behind it? And can I give that to you so you can see all of me? And when you see all of me, you know that I'm not hiding anything from you. And that creates trust, because you know that there's nothing lingering in the back that I'm not telling you. And I've felt this, and maybe you feel this with certain people in your life, that you can tell that there's things that aren't being communicated, that there's things that are being withheld, and that eats away at the trust. It eats away at the connection. And so this process of fully embodied somatic communication is truly the skill set that we've been teaching this whole time and helping people remember this whole time. And maybe we can go into that a little bit, but I'm curious if that brings anything up for you.
I think that was beautifully said and articulated. I know there's that quote that, we are once an adult and twice a child. And just hearing your story of your grandmother, she's going through that twice.
Yeah.
As a child, not being able to communicate an internal felt sense outwardly, and also in her later years. And I would probably make the argument that a lot of adults, they just tap the surface on being able to communicate in the middle portion of their life some of what they're feeling. But what a gift to be able to actually get to really the emotions and the sensations and really have a language and an articulation, be able to explore your inner web, your internet, and be able to actually have data points that come out of that can help your connection and really build trust.
Yeah.
That comment that we always have an emotion. We're always in an emotion. We just rarely acknowledge it. I didn't even know there was an emotion sitting right here. And when you made that phrase, that just pierced me on how you just really care about me and said some incredible things about how I've been such an impactful person in your life. It brought up just this incredible gratitude and all of the lived experiences that you and I have had, and that emotion was it was an amalgamation of a lot of different things, but it was coming up in communicating through tears.
Yeah.
It was in my eyes, and it has its own way of coming through. Moving into that, I'd love to ask, how does connecting with our own body and our own emotions impact the way we connect with others? You spoke a little bit about vulnerability, but I'd love a little bit more about the emotional body. It's one I think that we just really neglect.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in our world, we're not taught this. We're not taught how to feel emotion, and we're not taught, and often we're actually suppressed a lot of the times in our emotion. A lot of us have been told to sit down, suck it up, shut up, stay strong for the people around you. And within a lot of the somatic breath work that has just become so popular and has grown, I look at it as we're expressing what's been suppressed. And a lot of the time, for people that are just getting into that, there might have been things that have been suppressed for a very long time. And a lot of it is the emotions that we haven't wanted to let ourselves feel, which could be deep anger, or agony, or pain, or sadness, or grief. And when we cut ourselves off from expressing those in a healthy way, and more importantly, having loving people to be able to receive and listen to us during that, because that's what makes it a full experience in a way, or and we'll talk more about that. But Yeah, I want to share a little story around this, and was
Mm.
probably the first time I really realized how much emotion was stuck inside of my body. And it was during the beginning of my sort of journey with body work and somatics, and really understanding the energetics of the body. And I had one of my first mentors, it was the first class with him. He pulled me up as a demo for something that he was doing, and I didn't really know what was going on. And he brought me up, and I sat down on the massage table. I wasn't laying down. He just kind of looked at me and smiled, and I was sitting there, and I had 30, 40 people kind of just all looking up at me, and it was quite intense. And he just came over to me, and really softly and almost fatherly, just put his hand right in the center of my back and just slightly kind of pushed up just a little bit and said, I feel like you could use some support right here. And with the resonance of his words and the amount of love and empathy and care behind his words, and him looking at me in my eyes when he said that, it was a rush of emotion that I had never felt before in my life. It was a rush and every cell and every part of my body wanted to push it down, because I had 40 people looking at me, and I had never cried in front of a group of people like that. But I couldn't hold it back. And I could tell that he could feel that my body was going through this process from him communicating in that sort of way, with hands-on touch and also his words and the impact of his words. And I just fell into a pool of tears, and it just came over me, and my mind didn't even know what was going on at that point in time. And he just held me, and it was my first experience of feeling how powerful the words that we say and the way that we touch somebody, and beyond that, the space that we're holding. And all of that, it was an example, and I didn't really realize that, of how deep communication can actually be, and how deep communication is as a healing modality, and not as a therapist or a coach, but as a human to human connection. And from that moment on, I dedicated my life to understanding this, and went through chapters of body work, and then verbal coaching, and somatics, and NLP, and all of these things that really boil down and sitting and simplifying to, it's actually all communication. It's actually all about connection. Healing is the same thing as integration. What is integration besides connecting all the points of ourselves?
Yeah, a beautiful story. Thank you. What comes up for me is this concept around somatic literacy. We've talked about the ability to see it as a language, like a true language.
Yeah.
And, I've kind of scaffolded it in a way of, well, if we learn a language, we usually start with letters, which build to words, which build to sentences, to paragraphs, chapters, and so on. And they really are the comprehension tool, and they shape the stories of our lives and how to express that and story tell it back and mirror it. And then, you've got, the sensations that are much deeper inside the body. They're so subtle. They're like the letter, and they build into what would be almost like a word. They build into like an emotion. And these emotions kind of flow together as the energy moves, and then they fall into a story, and we kind of connect and thread them and web them all together. And so I'd love to know kind of, my question is, why is it important to embody communication practices rather than just knowing them intellectually? Because I've seen people talk about, well, pause and pace and articulate and emphasize some certain words, but this is it's a much more subtle, much more deeper practice. And I was wondering if you could speak to a little bit of what it is to embody something versus to just understand it on an intellectual level.
Yeah.
From somatic literacy standpoint.
Absolutely. Yeah, we all know, maybe you have a friend or people in your life that have like just studied a topic so deeply, and you can tell that they can recite all of the different things, but it's a different thing to actually have tasted it, to actually been in it. For me, going through traditional schooling and traditional college, I really struggled. I struggled tremendously of reading the books and then trying to memorize it and throw it back up on a test. And it wasn't until I actually got my hands on someone's body, that experiential learning for me, that now I've been able to study these things like really in depth because I have the experience of it. And so through all of our trainings, and they're all experiential. And I believe that we are experiential beings. We can read about something. We can read about it in a book, but can you read it in the book of life?
Yeah, the book of
right?
life.
You've been a beautiful example of someone who has gone out and tasted the world and really wanted to not just watch it on TV, but let's fly there. Let's immerse myself fully in it.
Yes, taste
And
it.
so we believe in experiences and relational experiences. And those have been the platform and the container on how to learn these concepts. And so everything that we do is put in in an experience, in an activity, in an embodied experiential container that allows us to deepen these understandings. And you brought up the aspect of somatic literacy, and what is to be literate means that I can put I have lots of words at my fingertips to be able to put things, or I have lots of resource, if you will, to be able to create as an artist. If you're very literate in whatever your mediumship is, it means that you have a resource of mastery in something that you can then paint the picture. Or if I'm literate at the guitar, it means that I have a lot of scales that I can then communicate different things with, right? If I'm literate in my voice, I can speak clearly and I can sing, right? And so the process for this, and our process for developing somatic communication, is first off, it starts with the state of curiosity. And if you think about, we are expressions. You are an expression. I am an expression. You're the expression of fish right now. And an expression is actually, it's not a person, place, or thing. It's a process. You're expressing yourself. Your body is expressing itself outward. Your hair is growing. You're dying and growing, and all at the same time. There's an expression that's going on, the digestion of your food. And there are no two same expressions of you. There are no two same expressions of me. And there is a movement. Expression just means there's a movement of energy that's moving through you. And how expressed you are is probably correlated to how healthy you are, I would say. When we're not expressed, we're repressed or suppressed. And when we're in a state of curiosity, and I've really been sitting with this word because I believe it's probably one of the most important states for us to be in. When we're in the question, another word for curiosity might be like inquiry. Like we could be self-curious or in a place of self-inquiry. It means that we're listening. When you're truly curious, and most of us are curious with an agenda, we're only curious about the other person if there's something in it for us. But when you're truly, truly curious, you're like, let's just see what the fuck wants to come up. Like, I'm in awe of wow, this human is a miracle in front of me. And what's going to happen next? I don't know, but it's a miracle that we're alive. And I have a genuine, deep interest in understanding your expression and how it wants to move through the world. And when I am in a deep state of curiosity for myself, let's just see right now what my body is telling me. And when I'm in real curiosity, maybe that thing that it's telling me is something that might be a little bit painful, or it might be a little bit sad, or maybe it's deeply sad or angry, or maybe it's like, wow, how powerful and incredible I am. And I've really actually stayed small because I'm afraid of like how much responsibility comes with how powerful I actually am. And so that state of curiosity allows us to develop awareness. And we can't work on anything. You can't heal. You can't teach. You can't communicate if there is no awareness. We can't work on anything if I'm not aware of it, right? It's subconscious. I have no idea that's going on. And that's why, being in connection, a lot of the times when we're in a state of curiosity and connection, a lot of times we'll become aware of things that we weren't aware of. And it might even be harder to do that alone. And I don't believe in self-help or doing this work alone, because we're mirrors for each other. And when we're mirrors for each other in that state of curiosity, there's a lot of awareness that comes up. You provide a mirror for me, and I provide a mirror for you. And so this process of developing deep curiosity, of being in the wonder and awe of life, and let's see what happens next when I'm holding a breathwork session or a somatic session for somebody, I'm in deep curiosity of what wants to present itself. My mind has no idea. But when I'm in that state, I'm welcoming whatever wants to come up, whatever wants to be expressed, what art wants to come through this person. And so that process of being in deep curiosity allows us to become aware. And when we have that awareness, now comes that somatic literacy. I have the awareness, now what? Now can I paint the picture? Can I play the song of that awareness to you so you can understand me more? And from that creates relation. That creates connection. And so we deep dive in this and through the training, and that is how relationship. And I ask myself, I think it's important to ask yourself, what about what you're doing is important? What about what you're doing is powerful, is effective? And I peel back and I look at all the stuff that we've done with somatic breath work, teaching breath, sound, movement, holding space, attunement, alignment within yourself. All of these things are all, I pull a layer back, and it's all communication. And we've broken it down in beautiful experiences, in a beautiful relational container that helps us build our inner web, our internet, and so we can weave the web of ourselves and each other back together.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I as I'm in a somatic breathwork session, I'm constantly seeing these expressions come up, and they arise and they move through, and then they change, and they can change so rapidly. And so it's just such a beautiful picture to paint that every single person is an expression.
Yeah.
And that process is changing. And then in one moment, their expression can change. Mm-hmm. And so how can you not be so curious and in awe of the person in front of you as you're watching them just change in front of you? Like, how can you not be so curious about that when you realize that they're not a sedentary thing, that they are a process?
Exactly. And when you think that you know the answer, you've stopped the process. When you think you know who you are, when you think you know who someone else is. You've stopped the process. And so a lot of us have gotten so deeply entrenched in our mind and the stories that go on in our mind and all the answers that we've written for ourselves that play in the background all the time. It steals our curiosity. And when we're in that state, we're the living expression of unfolding more and more of ourselves. And we become a verb. We become the expression of myself as I'm Stevening through the world, and it's change, and change is the only thing that's certain. And when we move towards the answer, we stop the process. And a lot of us have a lot of answers for things, for people, for places. And it stops the beauty of life. It squeezes the aliveness out of ourselves and each other. It was a beautiful thing that one of my mentors said, and it was like this was in context in a romantic relationship, and it was, the day you wake up and you think you know your partner, the relationship is over. Because you've just collapsed the space for them to become. The day you wake up and you think you know yourself, you've collapsed the space for you to become something even greater. Rarely do we realize, and rarely do we see how beautiful life can actually be. Those answers, maybe it's a snapshot in your mind of what you want your life to look like. Those collapse the space for it to become actually 10 times greater than what you think it could be. Instead of living from a place of I got all the answers, when you switch that to a place of living the question, just become deeply curious about yourself and life itself and each other, you create this process of inquiry of self, and inquiry of each other. And I watch you do this so well as you go to someone and you have a deep desire, a deep, genuine interest about this person. And everything is better in your life, your business, your relationship, to yourself and to others, to your family, when you can be in that state of curiosity, of living the question, of genuine desire and interest within yourself and other people.
Yeah. To want to know yourself is to want to know others. You mentioned just previously alignment, attunement, holding space. Can you walk us through a little bit of the main pillars of this course as it relates to those three?
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's interesting through this journey of us creating somatic breath work and the practitioner training and teaching, and really asking ourselves the question of what are the skills, like the deep mastery, energetic skills that practitioners, that make a practitioner really great. And we taught this concept of holding space for a very long time. It was our main sort of, in the medical field or in the psychology field, they'd call it like a soft skill, like good bedside manner, if you will. But it's actually one of the most important skills, and it's the cornerstone of any sort of helping work.
Yeah, true.
This idea of holding space, that's creating a space for people to actually take up space. It's about welcoming all of them, no matter how good or bad that person thinks it looks. And we taught that for a while, and we wanted to expand upon that because that was the thing that was resonating and was creating the biggest shifts, because holding the breathwork session and understanding the bodywork techniques and guiding the session and being there with somebody, like all of those things were great. But when practitioners really understood this skill set, we'd get messages like, not just in a breathwork session did this change my life, but this actually changed the way I show up for my kids. This changed the way I show up for my partner. My life has radically changed. And so we started to call these meta skills. And these are the deep mastery energetic skill set of communication beyond words. And for this course, and we expand deeper into these in the practitioner training, but for the communication course, we move into the acronym that we created is AHA. And it's interesting because a lot of the times in class we'll ask each other, like, does anybody want to share an aha moment? And so I'm sitting with it, like, what is the understanding of an aha moment? Beyond the understanding, because understanding, most of you think it's a mental concept of, can I wrap my mind around it? But to truly understand something means you can stand underneath it and it's embodied. So what's the embodied experience of having an aha moment? It is the full body yes. It's the full body connection. We have that aha moment. It's like a light bulb comes off, but that light bulb might not just be in our head. It could be in our heart. It could be in any part of my body. It's a coming back online of parts of myself. It's a felt realization. It's a full body yes. And it's one thing to have that by yourself, but when you have that with another person, that aha moment that's created together is the light bulb of connection that we've just wove the web of each other back together. And so the acronym AHA are the meta skills, those deep mastery level skills that are really based around the communication that's going on beyond words. And they will only make your words more powerful when you're speaking them. And so we first move into alignment, holding space, and attunement. And those are the meta skills that we're going to be diving deep into during this journey together. And let's just start off, and probably the most important, and I can't necessarily say that, but the one to start with that's so important is this skill set of alignment. Now, you might ask me, how is alignment a skill? Isn't it just a state of being? I can just be in alignment or I'm not in alignment. And I would say, well, is life just is life static? Is life just a posture? Or is life dynamic? Is life movement? And so the skill set of alignment, and I'll ask you right now, and your mind might say some stories, but your body will tell you yes or no. Are you in alignment right now in your life? Are you in alignment with the people around you? Are you in alignment with what you want to do in the world, with what you want to be? And not just what you want to do, but what you want to be communicated from you. When we are in alignment, and alignment as a skill set doesn't mean that I'm perfect all the time and I have my posture and my body in this perfect position all the time. It really means about when I'm out of alignment, because we're all going to get out of alignment. Life happens, and there's brightly colored, and there's moving things, and sometimes those moving things come at us and we got to jump out of the way, and then we get thrown out of our alignment. When that happens, do you have the ability to first know when you're out of alignment? And a lot of the times our body will tell us. That communication that's going on inside of us will tell us. Can you hear that? And how much time does it take you to get yourself back into alignment? Because we're never going to be perfect. It's not about achieving perfection. It's about having the skill set of listening and knowing when we're out of alignment and being able to course correct. And what I'll say to that is a deep thing that I've had to learn is how much time does it take me when I'm out of alignment to get myself back into alignment? Because that amount of time, the more time you spend out of alignment, the harder it is to get back. The more time you drive your car when it's out of alignment, the more apt you are to, cause significant damage to your car. It's exponential. And so if I work with a lot of people that have spent 10, 20 years out of alignment with themselves, And the pain is exponential. For me, I was in a relationship for a long time where my internal voice was screaming at me that this relationship wasn't for me. And I didn't listen to that. And it caused a tremendous amount of pain for myself and for the other person. And so alignment is about minimizing the time of when I know something inside. Do I speak it? Do I live it? And a great example of not living in alignment is this thing that a lot of us struggle with is people pleasing, is abandoning ourselves, is being afraid to tell someone a hard truth because we think it's going to hurt them. When you're in alignment, it's a body-based path to vulnerability. And vulnerability creates trust. It's a body-based path to congruence, to speaking the same thing as I'm thinking is the same thing as I'm feeling. And before I do that, before speaking would be the literacy part, but can I actually be curious and hear and develop awareness on what is your heart telling you right now that you're not listening to? That's alignment.
I love that. Well, all right.
Yeah.
That's the A of aha.
That's the A of aha.
All
And
right.
it's the straight line of energy that's moving down your spine. It really, what it means is to be deeply rooted within yourself, is to not lose yourself when you're in connection with other people, to know how you're feeling, to know what's going on inside of you, to know what your needs and your desires are, and to be able to say that. I've struggled with that for a very long time. And really alignment is this aspect of being able to have a strong spine. It's the straight line of energy from my head down my spine into the ground. When I speak, when I'm in alignment, my words ripple into you because there's truth. Alignment really means to be in truth with myself. And so that is the first meta skill, which we're going to dive deep into in class. The second, move on to the H.
Yeah, let's move on to the H. Yeah, let's do a little holding space.
Holding space.
We talked a little bit about alignment is much more than going to the chiropractor and having good posture and just this physical thing, but it is when the thoughts, words, and actions align. Mm-hmm. And so you're just showing a deeper version, an inner explanation of what alignment is. So let's talk a little bit about that inner explanation of what really holding space is. How does holding space, because I did this on the PGA Tour, I was able to hold space for my golfer because I was a caddy, and I was doing all these things for him, like really becoming small so he could play big. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't know what holding space was until I actually met you. You put words, you put words to holding space, and this aha moment in my body came up, this somatic awakening of like, that is what I have been doing for so long. So, what does holding space mean to you, and why is it a skill that actually goes beyond just listening?
Yeah. And you do this so well. Holding space, the short definition is to create enough space and to create a space for yourself or other people to be able to take up space, which really means that you're welcoming their expression. This idea of holding space is like when you walk into say you walk into a party that you actually don't know the person whose house it is, and you don't know anybody there, but say a friend brought you and you weren't sure if it's okay if you came, but you did anyways. Like when you walk in, you probably don't want to take up a lot of space. your body is probably like your breath is shallow, you don't really want to speak a lot. You kind of don't necessarily feel welcome there yet. And so what happens when the host or the person who owns the place comes in and he says to you, like, or he or she says to you, oh, hey, Stephen, like, oh God, I've been wanting to meet you. And like, I'm so glad you came, and like, welcome here, come meet my wife and my kids. And like, I'm just so glad you're here. And I really have been wanting to connect with you. Like, how does that change the space? You're just like, your energy just gets so big, and you feel like you don't have to walk on eggshells, and you feel like someone's welcoming you. And on a deeper level, what happens when someone says to you, like, if you're actually not in a good place, and maybe you're feeling, I don't want to say good or bad, but say you're feeling something that's really painful in that moment, and someone just says to you, like, it's okay to let yourself feel whatever you're going through right now. And even more than that, like, I'm actually here with you. That's holding space. And it's this energy of curiosity, of welcoming all of a person, and not just the agenda that you have for them. And a lot of the times when we are in a romantic relationship or in business partnership, or the people that we're closest to, we have agendas for people, and what that agenda collapses the space for other people's expression. And that agenda is really our desire to change or manage or fix somebody. It switches the energy from welcoming all of them, and I'm welcoming even if it's something that I don't want. Can I put those things aside and welcome actually what is truth? Can I welcome this person's alignment? Because when I'm in alignment and this person's in alignment, then we have the baseline of vulnerability and truth. And then when I can hold a space that allows this person to even come into more alignment, when they can express all of themselves and not feel like they have to hold back because I have an agenda for them. And even beyond that, can I be in the absolute awe, in the miracle of the intelligence that's going on inside of your being? Like, it is a miracle that you're even alive, that your heart is beating, that your cells are repairing itself, and you're digesting your food, and all of the just things that are going on that are way past my mental understanding. Like, my mind can't even comprehend the miracle that you are, and not even that miracle that we're here together. And I get to just witness you, and I get to welcome all of you, and I get to just be in this like state of, let's see what wants to present itself. That's holding space. It's this curiosity, this state of genuine curiosity of welcoming the fullest expression of somebody without trying to fix or change or manage somebody, but allowing their truth to be fully expressed.
Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy of welcoming someone, hosting them.
Yeah.
Being there and sharing just a moment of their life, if only it is only just a moment. Yeah. Hosting is just such an incredible word. It's like some people, like, think of how you feel when you host. You're excited.
Yeah.
You can't wait. You're welcoming people in to your home. Ultimately, like, this is your home too.
Yeah.
To welcome people into this home. And to have as many people just feel home and feel that feeling of like safety and welcoming. You can do that in every conversation. It's just giving me a new way, a new perspective, and a new interaction every time I meet someone.
Even for yourself and your own body, like, you could look at your body as the party. And you are the host.
Yeah, it is.
Do you feel welcome in your body? Do you welcome all the parts of yourself, even the parts that you don't like? Because they need to be here too.
Sure.
They are the fullest expression of your uniqueness. And when they are welcome, a lot of the times they don't run the show anymore, and they join the party.
Beautiful. Well said. So that's the H. We got the A, we got the H, we got ah right now.
We got ah.
But we're getting to aha. So let's move to attunement. I love this kind of concept of attuning, like to tune into someone. Let's how does attunement influence the quality of the connection in our interactions, in our relationships?
Yeah, attunement is something so important, and I believe that it's a skill set that is so important for our developmental stages as a child. Because when we're small and we're developing, as a child, you're not designed to be alone. You're actually designed to be co-regulating with your mom and your dad. And you don't know how to self-regulate yet. And so when you have parents that are deeply attuned to you, when you cry or when you need love or when you need food, you feel like your needs matter. And what happens when you feel like your needs matter is you feel that you actually have impact on the world. And the inverse of that is when we have parents that weren't able to attune to us, that when I cried out and I had a need for love and there was no communication on the other side of it, well, I start to feel like what I say doesn't matter, or what I need doesn't matter, or I'm living in a world where I don't matter. And it strips away the aspect of that we are in co-creation. That when I throw trash on the ground, that's affecting everyone else around me. That's affecting the planet. We are in co-creation. When I say something, it impacts the people around me. When I say something mean to somebody, it impacts the people around me. And so what happens over time, and this is a deeper thing that we'll get into the attunement podcast, is when we're not attuned to, or we don't attune to other people, a lot of the times what will be created is numbness. And almost not just numbness, but apathy. And apathy means that what if I can throw toxins in a river hundreds of miles away and that's not going to affect me because I'm over here and that's over there. When really, actually, that water will eventually make up the water in the body of your children's children. And so attunement is the straight line of energy between me and you. When I'm in alignment, I'm in my own truth, I'm in my own spine. But when I'm attuned to somebody, I have a straight line from my heart to your heart. And I understand what your needs are. And beyond that, I can see and notice and pick up on the subtle differences of what's going on. And I can see when you're saying, I can feel what's not being said. And I can move and moment to moment change the way that I'm attuning to you to give you more permission for you to say what's not being said, for you to communicate your needs. When we're deeply attuned to each other, what happens is, and even if you're listening to this right now, like you're hearing my voice and it's going through your ears and it's going through your ears and it's going to your brainstem and it's resonating inside of you. And so what's happening is there's actually a Stephen that's resonating inside of you right now. And you're having the experience of Stephen inside of you. And what happens is you're feeling me. You're feeling me. And you're not just your mind is dissecting the words and the definition of the words that I'm saying, but you're feeling the tone, and you're feeling my heart, and you're feeling the deeper thing that's underneath the words. And so you're feeling me. And, I can feel that going on with you, and you're attuning to me because I can see and I can feel that you're feeling me and you're feeling the words that I'm saying. And then when you speak, the same thing is happening to me. There's a fish that's resonating inside of me. It's going on into it's swimming up in there, right? It's going into my ears, and also my eyes are taking you in because you're here in person with me, and also we're co-regulating, and the electricity of our nervous systems are weaving together in a way, and you're resonating inside of me, and you can feel that I'm feeling you. And really what attunement is it's a deeper understanding of being seen and heard. Because we all know what it's like to be deeply seen and heard by somebody, but it's really, those words don't encompass it. Because I could see you and I could look at you, and you're beautiful, handsome man in front of me here. Love you so much.
Thank you.
I could hear your words. You have an amazing way with words. But I could see and hear you, but that doesn't mean that I feel you. And beyond being seen and heard, we want to be felt. We want to be understood. We want to stand underneath this thing that we're doing and hold it up together. Right? We want to be in understanding together. And when I'm deeply attuned to you, and this is why alignment is so important, because for my, empaths out there, you can deeply attune to somebody else, but as soon as you start to lose yourself in that, and that's when you start to have boundary issues and enmeshment, and we'll dive into that as well. And there's a lot of pain points around that, and this is why we start with alignment. But attunement is that I'm feeling you feeling me, and you're feeling that I'm feeling you. And we're here together.
All right. Wow. We got the aha now. We got the whole thing. And we've got, a couple of things that came out. During alignment, you spoke of a spine.
Yeah.
In attunement, you spoke of a heart. And, in holding space, you really talked about a mind. And so it seems like there's a nice little tagline that has come to fruition, and I'll let you kind of speak that outwardly. But I think it's really a tagline for this, not just this communication course, but for Somatic as a whole. We've put it into our value statements and our mission statement and our vision statements. And so I'd love for you to kind of just, and say that.
Yeah, it through these meta skills of alignment, attunement, and holding space, and really sitting with what is going on inside of my body when I'm embodying these and I'm in this state, this meta state of these skills. I have a strong spine in myself. And right now, if you're listening to this and you decide to go on this journey with us, or even if you don't, just try this right now. Just take a deep breath in. Let it out. How does it feel to have a strong spine? Deeply rooted in yourself, deeply rooted in your truth. Not afraid to express your truth. Not afraid to be vulnerable. Let's do another deep breath in. Let it go. How does it feel to have an open heart? An open heart from a place of infinite love. That there is no scarcity. You don't have to worry about, is there enough to go around? Because it's infinite and it's flowing through you. And even when you are in pain, and even when you're going through hard times, you can maintain that open heart and be in connection and show that. What is it like for people around you to receive your open heart? Last one, deep breath in. Let it go. This concept of holding space, of welcoming, of being in childlike wonder and curiosity. A mind that is curious is a powerful thing. When you live the question, when you move aside of thinking you know the answer and you live the question, life unfolds 100 times better than you ever could have imagined it. And so for this next chapter, our mantra right now is strong spine, open heart, and curious mind. I'm so excited to begin this journey with you all. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe. Give us a little review. We read all of these, and it sends tingles through my strong spine and warms my open heart. And I just can't wait to see them with my curious mind. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.